and moving to Office 365 today. It's a very important part that your questions are answered, but also any concerns you've got around the cloud, around security, which is a big thing, around where your data's held, they all get answered. So as Sarah said at the beginning, please feel free to put your questions in the comment box to the left. We will do a Q&A session at the end. We'll probably try and unmute you guys if and where we can, so you can actually shout your questions out loud, and obviously everybody else can hear you. So yeah, moving on. So does your business have these challenges too? So Microsoft are getting feedback all the time about what people need and what people need and want from their software and their technology. Some of the quotes that are here in this slide. So people need to work on many different devices. It's very important. People come to work these days with not just their laptop or not just their PC that sits on their desk. People come with a phone, people come with their tablet, people come with a third device. So it's very important that people are actually working on all of those different devices. They're all in sync with each other. They're all using the same tools. So another one, people who don't work in the same location need to work together. That is also very important. If you've got salespeople on the road, if you've got technical people on the road, you need to be able to, one, keep in touch with them, but two, be able to communicate with them, whether it's around work, whether it's around you working with them, or whether it's around completing something with them. And you're not able to do that without the technology in-house. So also managing complex infrastructure takes our IT staff away from the important projects. So we hear this one all the time. So we hear that for anybody on this call that actually hires IT staff, it's potential that your IT staff are constantly fixing hardware or constantly fixing servers, keeping them up and running, and not actually focusing on important projects like how you can better collaborate with each other, how you can better share documents with each other, how potentially you could better communicate with each other when you're in different locations. And then also the last one, and probably one of the most important for probably most people on this call, is we are cost conscious nowadays, more than ever. So it's one of the most important things that people are so cost conscious about what they're spending, and IT and definitely technology is one of the ones that people can't afford to invest a heavy amount of money in, and people can't afford the big one-off fee that you get with purchasing servers or purchasing different hardware for your guys. So it's very important that those costs are spread, or those costs are manageable, and that's something we'll touch on today. So just moving on, so you want technology that fits your needs. So you obviously want to be more productive. You want to work better together, but simplify and stay in control of your technology, and also get more for your investment is very, very important. So what I wanted to first touch on is what actually Office 365 is. Hopefully some of you on this call would have heard of Office 365 before, but some of you won't have. So Office 365 is your complete office in the cloud. When I say that, your Office that you all know and love, so your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, those usual desktop applications, but then also with the added benefit of this stuff, so business class email, / using Exchange Online, file sharing using OneDrive for Business or SharePoint, HD video conferencing like we're doing today over Link, technical support that can be provided by Microsoft, financially backed SLA. This is very important. It's 99.9% uptime guarantee with Office 365 that is also financially backed by Microsoft. But then also simple IT management, no longer having your servers on site, no longer having to manage the technology and the hardware that sits on premise. And then also, very importantly as well, the anywhere access, being out on the road, being on holiday, being in a different location, it's a different office, or maybe you're just going to see customers and clients. You want to be able to get access to your documents, you want to be able to get access to your email and the important things that you need to run your business. So why choose the cloud? It's a very important part. So if you're used to buying software and building servers, then you would arguably buy Office the same way you used to and set up servers for all the workloads. But but what you don't get is with Office 365, it's always up to date. You will always get the latest version, so there's no need to worry about paying a large lump sum to buy the software licenses every couple of years. So the Office that comes with Office 365 is a per user license, meaning for each user you can install Office on up to 5 of your PCs or Macs, and you can use Office in the browser. And also, of course, on your mobile devices too. So because Office 365 is a cloud service, you can log into your account from any browser and get everything you need for your business in one place. So that's including email, including calendar, including your contacts, their presence information, the ability to join online meetings with one click, all of your documents, literally everything in one place. Plus, you get to sync all of your documents in the cloud to your devices, so you have them even when you are offline as well. So, and as I mentioned, this Office works seamlessly with all the services that come with Office 365, including email, file sharing, HD video conferencing. With Office 365, all of these services are designed to set up to work together already, without the need to buy or manage any servers. So because Microsoft manages all of the servers for you, this means making it easy to set up and having the latest patches, 24 hours, 7 days a week malware protection with 99.9% uptime guarantee. Like I said at the beginning, that's financially backed by Microsoft. So you can also call on Microsoft for any support or any help that you need, and that's 24 hours, 7 days a week. But the main and the most important thing is you still have control. If you want to add, delete users, if you want to set permissions, add new email addresses, remove licenses, that's all in your hands and you can control that. So Microsoft obviously respects your privacy. And one of the main things that we advertise is the fact that we never scan any of your data for advertising purposes. There's a big thing around this in the cloud industry right now around basically providers that are utilizing cloud. Apparently they're scanning it for advertising purposes. There is one thing Microsoft can guarantee that it doesn't happen. We don't touch your data. And these are obviously the same reasons for not just any cloud, but why Microsoft Cloud or why Office 365? So the Office thing is being more productive. So with this, it comes with the full Office, so the same apps that you and your employees rely on probably today, but now on all of your devices rather than just the one device. And we can let you do work even when you are offline. So being truly productive from anywhere is very important, and obviously working better together comes with that as well. So even when you're on the road, you'll be able to get access to your email. Even when you're on the road, you'll be able to share files with each other, work on the same document together. And then also the stay in control part it's very, very important that all of this stuff is up all of the time. If you're out of the office and you're on the road and you want to send an email, you want to be able to do so. You don't want to have to rely on your server being up or rely on the technical person in the office has fixed the problems that you're having with your Exchange server or something along those lines. And then obviously getting more for your investment, and that's what Microsoft can guarantee. So we talked about how your people need to work on many different devices and the importance of having the best experience and the best tools when working on these devices. So let's explore how Office 365 can help you with this. So Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, and more. For each user that gets Office 365, you'll be able to install these applications on up to 5 devices, so the 5 PCs and Macs that we've already touched on per user. So that means when you're on your tablet in the office, when you're on your PC at home, when you're on your phone, when you're on your iPad, for instance, that recently got launched, you'll be able to get access to the latest version of Office. So that's Office 2013 currently, but when the next version comes out, whether it's 2015, whether it's 2016, you'll be able to download that straight away and get access to that latest software. But not just yourself either, everybody in the office will. So it's no longer some people being on 2010, some people being on 2007, you kind of having to change what you do because you're not all up to date. Everybody in the office will be on the same version. So accessing your documents from anywhere. So as you can see on the right hand side, this is OneDrive. So this is a screen grab of OneDrive. This automatically saves all of your documents and it'll back them up into OneDrive. And you also get the ability to sync. So syncing files to your PC is very important because if you're online, this is currently in the browser right here. If for instance, internet access went down, the question would be asked, well, how am I going to get access to my documents if they're in the cloud? Well, the answer is that you sync them down to your desktop. Syncing them to your desktop will mean that you've got offline access. You'll be able to access those documents, make changes to them, remove them, edit them, do anything you need to. And then once your internet comes back up, you'll just automatically be able to save those back into the cloud. So you'll also be able to quickly find and access your recent interactive files. So if, for instance, you're on a device at home and you were, let's say, editing an invoice for one of your customers, when you go online, whether it's on that device or on a different device, it will come up in recent documents as to what you worked on last. It gives you easy access and quick access to get hold of those documents and be able to start make changes to them again. And then also, obviously, it saves your documents automatically, which sync to all of your devices. So as you can see here, all of the documents are on the iPad as well as online, as well as on. Hi guys, can you hear me? Can you confirm you hear me? Apologies, I'm not sure what happened there. It kind of kicked me out for a second. Just bear with me. And can you also confirm that you can see my screen as well? No screen just yet. If you just wait for 2 seconds, cool. So some people can see it. Perfect. So apologies about that. I'm not really sure what happened, but hopefully it will carry on. Just let me know in the link if you lose any voice again or you lose the presentation. So just moving on to the next slide. So using business class email is kind of what I wanted to get onto next. So using business class email is very important to you guys who run a business, using your own domain name and working seamlessly with Outlook so you've got your offline copy of your email. So working with your own domain name is important to you guys as it is to Microsoft. We want to be able to send emails and them look professional, them look like they've come from us, right? So it'll be charlie@microsoft.com, for instance. This is what you guys get to do with Office 365. Now, Microsoft have also given you the space that you need for your email and your inbox. So a 50 gig mailbox is absolutely huge, and it gives you the ability to be able to archive your mail, be able to have all of your mail that go back for years and years and years, because that is what people need these days. And then also malware protection, shared calendars, and you can see people's updates as well now from social networks like Facebook and LinkedIn. So one of the most important things that Microsoft kind of wanted to do with Office 365 is not only give you the access you're used to, which is on your desktop using things like Outlook and Word, but also to be able to do all of those things online as well. Because why shouldn't you be able to go onto a hotel PC, for instance, log into your Office 365 and be able to send emails in the Outlook web application, be able to get access to your calendar, be able to get access to your contacts, but then also get access to, one, your data, and two, actually make changes to your data within the browser using our Office Online tools like Word Online, Excel Online, and PowerPoint Online. So literally, like I said, you can get access to everything. So this is the rich and familiar editing options in Office Online. So this screenshot is from the browser. This is editing a PowerPoint presentation within the browser. This is also then taking, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet and taking it offline. It's giving you the same sort of the look and feel, never changes no matter what device you're on, and that's one of the most important things about Office 365. No matter what device you're using, whether you're online, whether you're using your phone, whether you're using your tablet, it's the same experience for all users. So we also touched on working better together. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So we're currently using Link right now. So this is the link tool. This is what it looks like for many users. For you guys that are probably guests or have dialed in, it might look a little bit different. You might be using the online web app. But basically, this is how Link works. So you can see people's presence. So as you can see from this screen grab, Bonnie, for instance, is available. Brian's away. Alex is away. There's different presence for different people, so you can see what people are kind of doing. You can schedule meetings. So you schedule meetings for your calendar and then join that meeting online. And you can host a webinar like we are today for up to 250 attendees. They can be internal or external. You've got to remember you guys are all external, for instance, to Microsoft and to Nexus. So we've all dialed into the same webinar. I'm able to share my screen. You're able to hear me. And I could actually grant you permissions to be able to take over my screen and start doing things on my PC. So sharing with customers and partners. So one of the most important things for OneDrive and SharePoint is being able to share internally and externally. So if, for instance, this here is this user's OneDrive, they're able to go in and actually share that document, for instance, with a customer or with a partner, or maybe they're just sharing it internally. And those permissions are held within OneDrive, so you can take those away and grant those again if you need to. Also, people can come in and reply within comments. So you can go in, edit that document, and actually make a comment on that document to what you've changed or what you like about that document, for instance. So this is how you can share documents within the application. So for instance, a PowerPoint presentation, you're editing the document, and then once you've finished, you want to actually go and share this with an external user so they've got access to it. It's as easy as clicking into the icons where you can save and save as and print, and then literally going invite people to share, typing in an external email address like a Hotmail email address, and just clicking share. And then also a great thing about Office 365 is working on documents together. So this is called real-time collaboration, where you can actually go into a document online or on your desktop, and another user can access the same document, and you can be working together on that document. For instance, in the background here, you can see two users are working on exactly the same document together. So they're collaborating together and working on a particular, let's say, Word document in this instance. You can lock out paragraphs and you can lock out different sentences so that you're working on a certain part and they're only working on a certain part. And then sync the changes so you can see what each other has done. So we also touch on simplify but stay in control. So the whole point in this is the fact that you can manage Office 365 from one console. It's simplified management that is also web-based. It's a web-based admin center that you can get access to, again, on any device. So you can come in and you can see things like your service overview or your health and how things are going, and the fact there's no issues currently with Exchange, there's no issues with Link, so none of the services should be down. You can move anywhere in your service and keep that universal navigation bar at the top. Now that's quite an important part. If you're going through and you're in SharePoint, for instance, or you're editing a document and you then want to get access to your Outlook again and go and send an email, you can easily click Outlook at the top without having to do anything or move around a lot. So it's kind of keeping the native nav bar is quite an important part for the online tool. So stay up to date, as also with any planned maintenance that Microsoft are planning. So Microsoft will tell you if they're planning any maintenance with Office 365, with Exchange, with Link, with anything along those lines, and they'll put that on your tool, so you know what's going to happen and what to plan for. Add or delete users, manage email, and set document and sharing policies. Now again, this is all done online through the One Console, through the web app. You can come in, you can get access to your users, delete them, edit them, change the email address, create a new one. Maybe you're unassigning licenses or assigning licenses, and this is all done from the One Console. So getting access to support, like I said, you get the 24-hour, 7 days a week support from Microsoft. But one of the things Microsoft does advertise a lot is our social community. There's a lot of users out there that are using Office 365 and a lot of users that are having potentially the same problems or trying to work out how to use something or trying to work out how to best do something. Now, people are sharing all the time their different ideas and commenting and working out how they did it. So the whole social community that we've got of Office 365 users is kind of what people use nowadays to get answers about what they want to do with Office 365, or it's a quick way and an easy way to get an answer of how to do something, for instance. So protecting your company against spam and malware. So a lot of people, and potentially some people on the call today, will have not only their email going through a third party, but they'll also use another third party for spam and malware protection. It's very common, but also quite expensive in some cases. Now, with Exchange Online and with Microsoft Office 365, you get full spam and malware protection for your mail. So this is easy to manage. You can deploy it at any point, and for any user. And the policies that you can make in terms of your anti-spam policies is very easy to do. For instance, you can move them all to the junk email folder, for instance. If you're getting a certain one that's coming through and it's going into your inbox, you can set that email address as it's always going to be spam. So Microsoft Office 365 will know that any email that comes through from that address, they know it's spam, so let's move it to the junk folder. So obviously, one of the most important things is once you've got Office 365 and you've got your users using it on mobile devices, how do we manage those mobile devices? How do we manage the access and the policies? So this, again, is all done from the portal. You can actually use it to remote wipe. For instance, if a user has lost that device and it's got some business critical information on it, you can actually come into Office 365 and remote wipe that device to get rid of the data. So also just touching on deploying Office as well. So when you're at home, for instance, and you're on Office 365 and you want to install Office, let's say, you can go to the online web app and remotely get access to Office and download it and stream it straight online. It's very easy to do. It's very quick. It will download onto your desktop, and that'll obviously be the latest version. And Office 365 records how many you've used, if you see what I mean. So for instance, you get to use Office on up to 5 devices per user. So it will record in your portal how many devices you've got Office on. So all it is you go into the online portal, click on install, and it will start downloading, just like you would download anything these days. So one great thing about Office 365 and especially Office 2013 in terms of the changes is you can now run side-by-side applications and different versions of Office. For instance, if you've got a native application that you need Office 2007 for, or you need Office 2010 for, you can keep that installed on your device, but also run Office 2013 alongside it. This has never been able to be done before. For instance, with other versions, if you ever had Office 2007 and upgraded to 2010, you'd have had to uninstall 2007 to do that. Now, Office 365 is allowing you to install it side by side. And the last Hi guys, I believe it. Is it back up? If you could let me know if you can hear me and you can see the screen again. Apologies about that. So running side-by-side applications, running Office 2007 alongside 2013, it will allow you to train your users as well. So if it is a big move for you guys moving to 2013, you can obviously, it's very important to be able to sort of move them slowly and say, okay, well, let's learn how to use Word 2013 first, for instance, if it was a slow process of your sort of migration and your deployment. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, 99.9% uptime guarantee, which is financially backed, the IT level phone support that Microsoft offer, and this is all manageable from the portal as well, so getting access to the support numbers, being able to log service requests, and again, like I said, being able to see the actual current health of your Office 365 tenant in your account, which will show you kind of if there are any problems and if you should be planning anything. So, and one of the last things we mentioned was getting more for your investment. So Office 365 makes good business sense. So business-ready tools, the latest technology, so being able to download the latest version of Office, getting the latest version of Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive. The low upfront costs. There aren't no costs involved with purchasing servers, with purchasing cows, for instance, and getting the latest software. It's all licensed per user on a monthly basis or an annual basis, so it's easy to manage when it comes to how much will it cost and what will I have to spend. You can start managing your IT budgets a lot better. So I guess one thing you're all probably thinking is, okay, that's great, but how much will Office 365 cost and which plan is right for me? There's lots of different plans online. It can get quite confusing with what's sort of right for me and what's not, what you can mix and match with, and that's something Nexus or myself can help with. When Nexus touch base with you after this call, they can talk through your requirements and actually make sure they're picking and identifying the right Office 365 plan for you. So this is one of the ones that I've spoke about today, which is the mid-sized business plan. So you obviously get that full suite of Office, so the Office 2013 for up to 5 devices. You get the email, you get the file sharing, you get the SharePoint, the OneDrive, all of the things we spoke about. And just to give you an idea of cost, this particular plan is £8 per user per month. So it's a 12-month contract, but that's giving you access to all of those things. One of the most expensive things in these day and age, especially for technology and software, is Office 2013. It probably in the region of £300 for one license. So that kind of gives you an idea of, okay, well, if I went with Office 365 and spent £8 per user per month and got email, got file sharing, got link, got Office as well for up to 5 devices rather than just one, it's allowing you to, one, spread those costs, but also stay up to date with the latest technology. And obviously that isn't the only option. There are options if you do need more. For instance, if you do need access to e-discovery and advanced archiving, if you need access to Visio services and InfoPath and things along those lines, there is the Enterprise E3 plan, which is there for you guys. That allows you to kind of do that little bit more than what mid-sized business do. And like I said, Nexus or myself can speak to you guys about what is right for you and kind of what plan suits you best. So next steps and kind of what I would advise is obviously Nexus are going to get in touch with you guys around what you should be kind of doing next, but get signed up to a trial. You can sign up to a free 30-day trial online. It's very important to actually see the product and use the product and test the product out. Assess your requirements. This is something obviously Nexus will be helping you with. And then obviously starting to begin your implementation plan. If you're moving, for instance, let's say from Gmail or something along those lines to Office 365, there needs to be a plan of, okay, taking that data from there and putting it to Office 365, setting up all my users. How are we going to do this? Are we going to do this over a weekend, for instance? So there needs to be a plan that's put in place. And that's just something you can start thinking about, but definitely sign up for the trial and definitely start using the product and seeing what you think. So I just want to say, obviously, thank you for your time. And what we'll do now is we'll open up the floor for any questions. Please use the box on the left-hand side to ask any questions, or Chris can unmute you if you want to if you want to say your question rather than write it, that's also fine.
I have a question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead.
I have a question. You said on one of the slides that you'd have to, you can only install on 5 devices, which is fine. But let's say I did install on 5 and I want to install on 6. Can I still go back and undelete or take it off on a device or once it's
Yeah,
on?
absolutely. So, as I said, in the Office 365 portal, what it'll do is it'll list kind of how many devices and what devices you've got Office installed on. You can quickly unlicense that device if you need to on the
Okay.
portal. And what it'll do is it'll just make that product an unlicensed product, which you won't be able to use it on that device. Now, it is 5 devices per user. If you are somebody that has got 10 devices, let's say, and you need it on all of those, it would just be a case of getting an extra license for yourself to make sure you're covered.
Not a problem. I have another question. Sorry, does anybody else have another question before I ask another one?
If you go ahead, and then we'll move on to the ones that are in the chat box.
No worries. With regards to getting, because I already called, I've already gotten the link to actually download Office 365 for Business, and I'd like to get that. The only thing is I don't have a domain name or anything else like that. Will that be a problem? When I spoke to the customer service rep, he said that you don't need to have a domain name.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that is one of the kind of the beauties of Office 365. You can sign up to it without a domain name and without utilizing all of the products. So, for instance, if you want to, yeah, go on. Sorry.
And then I can use it when you get my website or get a domain name with an email address. So, my name, ehab at businessservices.whatever.co.uk, then I can set that up as my email and get all that sorted out.
Exactly, yeah. So you can buy a domain name at a later point, add that to Office 365 even when you've purchased it, and then start utilizing Office 365 for your actual email.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Great. So just going through some of the questions. So Jacob, how much space does each user get for their OneDrive email? So OneDrive for Business is you get a terabyte of storage per user. So that's a terabyte of storage each for OneDrive for Business. In terms of your email, it's a 50 gig mailbox for most plans. However, if you go for anything like the Enterprise plan, then what you actually get is a 50 gig mailbox plus unlimited archiving space. So it's also almost like an unlimited mailbox. So yeah, 1 terabyte for OneDrive, 50 gig mailbox for your email. What about integration with other systems we have on site, i.e. document manager integration? So it depends what you're doing with those systems, what they kind of are. This is answering Brian's question, by the way. In terms of your systems and what you've actually got on site, it would definitely be worth touching base with the guys at Nexus, like Chris. He'll be able to actually see what you've got and how it can integrate with Office 365, or if it can integrate. There are lots of different products that do now. And yeah, it would just be about working out what product it is and then working out whether it can integrate or not. So Alistair, in answer to your question, if we have some 365 users collaborating through OneDrive, what happens if we have other users who still use traditional file shares? So good question. So one of the things will be, obviously, if you've got users that are using on-premise and using their own file shares, and you've got users that are using OneDrive, then you've got documents in 2 different places. That's going to be hard to manage for you guys. It would be about kind of making sure that your users are aware of what OneDrive is and how it works. So training them and skilling them up on how to use OneDrive and how to utilize the product to make sure that they are actually using that rather than their traditional shares. Now, if you didn't want to use OneDrive for your file shares and you wanted to keep that on-premise, for instance, that is one thing Office 365 does offer is a hybrid approach to this. So that means that you can have, for instance, your data on site but your email in the cloud, or some data on site and some data in the cloud. And that hybrid approach is something Office 365 is kind of one of our unique selling points, and no other cloud provider can actually offer that. In terms of, if you go cloud with those guys, you have to go all cloud, whereas we can offer that hybrid approach. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question, or if you want to add some on. Okay, great, thank you. So Barbara, in answer to your question of would you be able to track any abusive emails back to an IP address, etc. So is that you as a company sending out those emails, or not you specifically, but maybe a user within your organization sending those out, or is that receiving an email? Can you just clarify that? Okay, receiving. So in terms of receiving, especially any emails with any abuse or anything along those lines, then what you'd definitely be able to do is obviously track who that email's actually come from. So by getting their email address. Now, tracking their IP address and actually like what device it's from or anything along those lines, to be honest, maybe there is some sort of technical thing that will allow you to see which laptop that did come from. For instance, let's say if it was really, really extreme and someone needs to track it, I bet there's someone out there that could and find out where that email actually come from. To be honest, it's a difficult question to actually answer. But in terms of receiving, you would be able to see who it was from. For instance, you would know their email address. If you wanted to block that email address, for instance, you could. Or if you wanted to kind of get a report of how many other emails that person sent to your users, you could do that as well. So Jacob, in answer to your question, how does file recovery work? So file recovery is done through Office, through OneDrive and through SharePoint. So for instance, if your user deleted a document that sits within SharePoint or that sits within OneDrive, it will actually go into a deleted box, just kind of like anything. So you would be able to recover those files, but you can also do version history. SharePoint and OneDrive, and that's a really cool thing to be able to do. Is if, for instance, your users are changing documents all the time and changing a specific document, and you've gone and accessed that document, and actually that is not how you want it, and you wanted it back, let's say the document that you first made with it in January, you'd be able to go back and track back to that version of document using SharePoint and OneDrive, and then overwrite what current document is there. So tracking back and going back to different versions is absolutely possible, and then recovering any documents or any emails as well that have been deleted is also possible. So please let me know if that doesn't answer your question, if you've got an extension to it. I can see there's a couple of people typing now. So how far would the file retention go? You can set that up to 90 days, I believe. I will get clarification that I don't believe that's done by default. I think it's 30 days by default, but I'm pretty sure you can set it to be 90. I will double check and get clarification, and what I'll do is I'll send that over to Nexus and get them to send it to yourself, Barbara. In answer to your question, Jacob, so we can recover emails, mailboxes as well. Absolutely, yeah. If, for instance, let's say you were the admin and you went on and deleted a user's mailbox because you thought they were leaving the organization, let's just say, you would be able to recover that mailbox if you did make a mistake. And that's not a problem at all. In terms of the emails as well, absolutely, you would also be able to do that. If you go for an enterprise plan, you do get litigation legal hold, so you'd be able to recover any emails that are deleted up to any amount of time. That's only with the enterprise plans. With the mid-sized business plans and the ones below, there is it goes into a retention policy where obviously if it's deleted from the deleted mailbox, you can set it, I think it's something like 30 something days to recover that email and actually go into your portal and recover the email. Again, with those specific days, I will get clarification and send them over. Chris believes it's 30 as well. So I can see there's more questions coming. So yeah, keep the questions coming. I'm more than happy to answer as many as possible. Also, one last thing, guys, is my email address and my number is now on the screen. Feel free to jot that down and get in touch with myself if you do have any questions directly for me or for Microsoft. I'm more than happy to help outside of this call. I do know Nexus will be in touch anyway directly to help you guys out, and I'll probably be involved with any sort of varying questions you've got or any discussions that you want to have directly with Microsoft. Okay, so our Exchange 2010 is hosted and we are still in contract. How does that affect things, as we are effectively paying for email twice if we adopt? Good question. So it depends how long you're in contract for. So if you're in contract for, let's say, another year, then what I definitely recommend, and what you'd probably still figure out, is that Office 365 is still the way to procure Office these days. So even if you're subscribing to the mid-sized business plan just to get access to Office 2013 for up to 5 devices, you're getting more for your investment than you would be going out and buying them box product. So Microsoft have kind of made sure of that. You would also then start using the other tools like OneDrive, for instance, and like SharePoint, and being able to get access to them. In terms of the Exchange 2010, if you have made that contract and you are tied in, there's not a lot we can do. But what we can say is that if you're looking to invest into Office or you're looking to invest in OneDrive, then doing that for Office 365 is the way to go anyway. So you'll find that you're not losing out on any money. It's just the fact that you're obviously tied into the contract, so it'd be the money that's going to kind of that hosted provider, unfortunately. Hopefully that kind of answers your question, Alistair. No problem at all. Any more questions from you guys? Cool. So can I use Outlook 365 to host my Gmail and Outlook address and my domain email address? Okay, so you can use Outlook that sits on your desktop, so Outlook 2013, for instance, to host any email. So that could be your email address that's written for Office 365. That could be your Gmail account. That could be a Hotmail account. That could be, I don't know, an Outlook account, and all of the other different things that you can have. So yeah, Outlook on your desktop, you can absolutely get access to your Gmail plus your Outlook address and the domain email address, and utilize all those things. Now, it's a bit different for Outlook web application. Outlook web app, which is obviously online, you will only be able to get access to your domain email address, plus you can use connected accounts and get access to anything that's a Microsoft account. So that's, for instance, at outlook.com, at hotmail.com, at live.com. We do allow you to integrate those into the Outlook web application. However, things like Gmail and things that are out of our sort of hands and out of our support, unfortunately not. But you can integrate those on Outlook on your desktop like normal. Awesome. So I can see that Brian's probably asking a question, so we'll wait for that one to come in. So does this allow us to set up and control company-wide disclaimers and email sign-offs? It absolutely does, yeah. So with Office 365 Exchange Online, you can set up and use disclaimers, which is automatic. So you can set up a disclaimer to go out on an email, for instance, or maybe you've got a sales disclaimer, you've got a marketing disclaimer, you've got a technical disclaimer, and you can set them up for the different teams within your organization, and they will automatically add on your email when you send that out, and that's without you having to do anything. Now, I have actually seen some companies, although that doesn't do your signature and you can do that through Outlook or the Outlook web app, I have seen some companies who have got a little bit of HTML skills put their signature into their disclaimers as well. And what you can do is you can actually do a little bit of HTML coding, which is things like % first name, % last name, and that will drag information from your Office 365 profile and put it into your signature, which will send out automatically. So if you did want to do that, Brian, and if that was a requirement, it is actually possible. It's just got a little bit of HTML that you need to add to an automatic disclaimer. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, please feel free to write and ask a little bit more. Not a problem, Brian. Okay, Brian, so in answer to your question of this price per month, what is the standard contract length? So the contract length with Office 365 for all plans is a 12-month contract. So that is obviously pays per month payment, but it is a 12-month contract. Now you can get out of that contract at any point, and all you have to do is pay 25% of your remaining annual contract, and that will enable you to actually leave and discontinue the service if you did want to move away from Office 365. No problem, Jacob. Thank you for joining. And in answer to your question, I have received the link to purchase Office 365 Small Business Premium. What does delegated administration mean? Okay, great question. So for instance, delegated administration allows Chris and the team at Nexus to actually be able to support you guys. It's something that we set up for our partners because everything Microsoft does runs through our partner channel. It allows Chris and the team actually not to get access to any data, not to be able to change any data. That's a very important part. They can't do anything with your data. But what they are able to do is, for instance, purchase licenses for you, assign licenses for you. If you're having trouble removing a user or recovering a user, they'll be able to do that for you. And that's all to do with delegated administration. So that's what those guys are there to help with. And like I said, it's that you can see it in the disclaimer and obviously in all the terms and conditions. The partners absolutely don't get access to any of your data through it. It just means they can do any administration tasks that you want them to be able to do. It's definitely a really good feature for if the global admin of the account has forgot their password. It's the way you'll get your password recovered. So I recommend it. Hopefully that answers your question as well. Not a problem at all. So any more questions? If so, please put them in the box. Or like I said, if you've jotted down my email address or my number, please feel free to get in touch directly if you want to ask myself a direct question.
Okay, Charlie, thank you very much for your presentation this morning. That's been really helpful, and thank you for fielding so many questions as well. For all those of you that joined the webinar this morning, it was great to get so many questions at the end, and it really does sort of lead us into the next steps because you know, it shows that as we've seen in the past, customers always have quite a few questions, quite a few concerns around migrations to Office 365. That's really what we're here to help with, whether it's a licensing question or a technical question. And you know, bearing that in mind, the next step from us will really be just to make contact with everyone that's joined today, really initially just to get some feedback on the webinar, and then also to see if there's anything further that we can help you with. So I think that's probably just about it. You can see our contact details up on the screen, but as I mentioned, we will do a quick follow-up call in the next few days anyway. We'll just stay online for a few more minutes to take any final sort of questions that you may want to send in to us. But for now, thank you very much, and thanks for taking some time this morning to join the webinar.